People often ask me how I ended up in Vietnam and why we tour here. So let me give you a bit more of an insight on how all that happened. When I grew up as a kid, my stepfather's brother was one of the first that was already in the army and headed over to the Vietnam War, the American War as they call it. Of course, I followed that with great interest of hearing the families talking about what was going on and seeing snippets on the news. Interesting enough, I always seem to have a great interest in that, but of course, my first ever overseas holiday was in fact Vietnam. Coming from Australia and hadn't really travelled before, I was quite shell-shocked. I mean, this is sort of going back nearly 20 years ago. And of course, with that, I soon started doing like a lot of remote travelling in Vietnam and riding motorcycles and things like that. And really, this whole amazing deep culture and history of Vietnam just sort of started unfolding. And it was something like I've never seen before. You see these things on National Geographic where people go into these villages where you're almost like the only person, and I actually started doing that. And it was just turning it from a textbook or something you're watching on a TV to turn it into a reality. And coming from my riding background of growing up in Gippsland, Victoria and Australia in the high country, I've actually also been able to ride into these locations. It was just this win-win of this most amazing part of the world. But you've really got to go deep to see that real Vietnam, get away from all the tourist trails. Tourists tend to stick to these main cities. We go far, far away, kind of almost right off the map. And that's where the real Vietnam is still there. It hasn't really changed, and it shouldn't change because it's just so amazing.